to my second vlog. Um, I originally planned to stream on the weekend, but today just felt like a good day to do this. In this vlog, I'm going to go over the time leading up to my multiple cancer diagnosis. The game I just wanted to give a shout out, or not exactly a shout out, but the game that I'm actually streaming right now is a game called Monster Hunter World Iceborne. So this is a game I've been playing for quite some time, and as you can see, I'm Hunter rank 999 and Master rank 981. At some point I'll probably get that to 999, but that's not a priority right now. But anyways, you're probably going to see me running around and doing different things, but for the most part, I'm going to be struggling with talking, vlogging, and trying to game at the same time, so I might, quite often be standing and doing absolutely nothing in the game, so bear with me. I still haven't quite figured out how I want to do these vlogs, particularly with gaming and talking about really important things like this. So anyways, just a little history. Previous to my multiple cancer diagnoses, I've had to deal with another form of cancer, and I also had another cancer scare. So that was, at least a good 10 years ago. Yeah, roughly 10 years ago. And I honestly believe that my body is absolutely riddled with cancers. But you know what? It is what it is, and it's something I just gotta deal with. What I want to focus on with these vlogs is my current two cancers. And I just wanted to focus on those two because I think that's enough information for this vlog. Now that I have a look back, I have to say I haven't been very blessed and lucky all these years. So taking and going back to memory lane, in 2019 was the year my body was screaming at me. So, there was something wrong with my body, but just didn't know exactly what it was. For the bulk of a year, I had a very aggressive and violent cough attacks, to the point where I almost felt like I was going to pee myself when I coughed. And not knowing what was going on at the time or what my body was trying to do or say, I went to see my family doctor. I saw him many times through the year, and he was seriously medicating me to relieve symptoms, right? But he never looked into the why or what was really going on. Seriously, the man gave me prescription medication for acid reflux. I didn't have acid reflux. If I knew I had, whatever acid reflux I never had any of that. And so I thought this guy was mental and on drugs, and, I lost a lot of faith and hope in him. And, yeah, I was just kind of nuts. But anyways, so this was a story of my horrible experience, with this doctor. This is how my very first experience with medical professionals and the medical system in Canada started. In June 2019, I decided to try a more natural route. So I went to see a naturopath, hoping I could figure out what's going on with my body and so forth. The naturopath ran a bunch of tests on me and eventually gave me a report on foods that I was intolerant to. The thing was 6 pages long, and by the time I reached page 2 and then flipping over to page 3, my initial thought was, holy crap, what do I eat? It was just a little bit shocking. And it was really overwhelming. The naturopath, seeing that I was kind of overwhelmed and shocked, she suggested I see a dietitian because my list of intolerances was pretty big, 6 pages we're talking about. So I did that. The dietitian that I was seeing was amazing. She really helped me with what I ate and how I ate while avoiding all my intolerances. This went on for 3 months, and my body didn't feel any better. and I felt exhausted, like I was constantly trying to catch up on rest and things like that, and
I know you've been working
it
hard
just
out
wasn't
there.
working. And my body was seriously having issues, and it wasn't working. So even like going through all those, like, it just, my body was not responding at all. So that was a little bit of an annoying thing. And what was I gonna say here? So anyway, so things never got better, and I got fed up and with my family doctor, and so luckily for me at work and working in the oil and gas industry, um, there's a medical center that's available for employees, and I went to see the nurse practitioner on September 17th, 2019. She had made the decision, like, I told her basically what was going on, and she was trying to figure out. So she had a hunch, something was going on, and she was right. She made the suggestion and referred me to a clinic that she praised about. Well, I couldn't get the doctor that she recommended. I got a different physician. Um, so in September, like following the 17th, I believe it was on the 18th, I went and saw the family physician, the new family physician, and I told him what was going on. So at the first appointment, he requested lots of tests and standard tests that they have to run when you go see a new physician. Following that appointment, I went to Dynalife to have all the tests done that he actually requested for. And it wasn't until the following week, so on September 19th, I was called and I was asked to book an appointment and come back and to go back in to see the doctor. So I went in September 20th. This day was life changing for me. I was devastated, I was overwhelmed, I was mad at the world. So I had a lot of anger and frustration and a lot of emotions, so I was really upset that day. Um, and my new physician sat me down. He's not the tallest guy, but he rolled his chair up close to me and said, "The regular blood test that came back was flagged." So in my mind, I'm thinking, regular blood test. What could be going on, right? Um, so he then went on to say that the lab is seeing hairy cells. And, in my mind is like, what? Obviously I can't swear on Twitch, so I'm not going to swear, but, I probably would be cursing right now. Um, and I was told that I had hairy cell leukemia. He explained to me that my cells had hairy-like features surrounding them, which basically identifies it as hairy cell leukemia. And then I'm just sitting there, it's like, hair on my cells. It's like, really? So that was going on through my mind. And then without more delays, he gave me more blood tests to get done right away. He would so I got that done right away, and he mentioned that he was going to start the referral process with the Cross Cancer Institute. I was in shambles when I left the clinic. The first person I called when I got into my car was my brother. It's very vivid in my mind what I went through and how hurt and pissed off and upset I was that day. So I was crying my eyes out, and crazy insane me, I was driving down the highway while bawling my eyeballs out. Through the crying and everything, my brother managed to hear and understand what I was telling him. So I was telling him that I was heading over to Dynalife, which is where I was getting more blood tests done and whatnot, and that I got the news that I had hairy cell leukemia. So he was in shock. I think he was probably in shock as I was, but the first thing he said was, "Pull over on the side of the road now." And he kept telling me, you cannot be driving in this condition. And so, you know, the next, closest area, I, went over to the side of the road and I parked my car. He told me to breathe and to try to calm down. He told me everything is going to be alright. And, I am pretty close to my brother. And, my brother is amazing, amazing guy. And he is super awesome person. And, I just love my brother to death. And, after I stopped crying, he told me to drive to Dyna Life and that he would call me that evening. So, through all that, like, he just kept telling me that he was gonna, everything was gonna be okay, and that he would call me after work, and that evening he would get back to me, and then talk more after I get my blood test. So, when I got to Dyna Life, I sat down in the waiting room. I swear the wait felt like eternity, like, it felt like forever. I was there for a year or something. But, I was there for an hour waiting for the blood test. Lots of things were racing through my mind, but I think the biggest thing was for me, was getting the test done and just going home. There was the news that I got that day was just devastating, and I think the first initial emotional feedback was total shock, total devastation. Then I went on to being angry and hating the world and asking why me, why me. So, following things at getting the blood tests and so forth, everything was a blur, but I somehow managed to get home after that appointment. The next person I called was my mom and my dad at the time, who, unfortunately my dad passed away earlier this year in February, so my dad is no longer with us. So when I called, it was my mom. So my dad didn't hop on the phone yet. He usually doesn't. Like, that's just my dad for you. But my mom was in shock. She was absolutely devastated with the news. And we had a good, hard cry together. And one of the things about me is I don't like to hurt or put people that I really care about in extreme extreme stress, and put them in pain or make them cry or hurt them in any way. And it was so painful to hear my mom cry. And that was really tough. That was soul crushing. And, we probably cried like a good, I don't know, a good solid 30 minutes. We talked, and, through her tears and crying, she was saying that she wished she could take it all away, that she should be the one suffering and not me. So anyways, even though this is back in 2019, you can tell that I'm still very choked up about all this. It still hurts. It impacts my life in every way possible. It's just kind of nutty. But anyways, my mom told me that she couldn't talk to me because of how hard she was crying, and so we hung up. I was okay with that. Then I called my sister. One of my sisters, anyways. So anyways, in my family, it's a family of 6. I got one younger brother, he's the youngest, and then I have 4 older sisters. So it was my 4th sister that I called. And I told her that I had hairy cell leukemia, and I asked her to check in on Mom. And I'm gonna really try to hold myself together for this part, but instead of hearing support from my sister, the first thing out of her mouth was very condescending and hurtful words. Like, even today, it still pains me to think back what she said and what she did. But what she said was, why would you tell Mom and stress her out and make her health issues worse? So with that statement in my mind, I'm thinking, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have called mom and things like that. So I was pretty upset with that statement. Then, you know, like even though I was blaming myself because of what she said, I told her that she is my mom and I needed her, and I hung up on her. So not only did I find out I had hairy cell leukemia, my sister blamed me for hurting my mom and making her cry. So that was a lot to take in. Like, you're diagnosed with cancer. It's like, at that time, I didn't know what hairy cell leukemia was, and, it was a lot. So I was really, really upset, and I vowed not to lean on my family that day after that. And, it just pains me what she said. And so after I hung up, I did a lot of crying and I was upset. I really didn't know how to manage all this and all that. And then my brother called that evening and we talked. And, one of the things that I said to him is, I don't need your help or anyone else's. So, I was pretty mad, upset, and hurt. And my brother said to me, it's not your fault, and I am your brother. So those words were very impactful, and it really, really, I was taken away by that. And I took a step back and said, yeah, my brother is pretty cool. So that happened. The weekend was, that weekend was torture. And there was lots of crying, and Mac was the next person I talked to. He spent as much time as he could with me and kept telling me it's not my fault and that everything is going to be okay and that he was always going to be there for me no matter what. And even if, my family wasn't going to be there, he was always going to be there. And, that really was the sweetest thing anybody could say. He tried very hard to cheer me up and keep my mind occupied with, he watched videos with me, we played video games together, which we do game a lot together, which is great, and we have fun. We also get salty because we do play games like Rainbow Six. Who doesn't get salty in Rainbow Six, right? When I reflect back, it's very clear that family does not have to share the same blood. Mac does not share the same blood as me, and he will forever be my family. So thank you once again, Mac. You're awesome. Sending lots of hugs his way, because he is definitely one person that surely deserves that. Just when I didn't think things were going to get any worse, the following week, on September 25th, I discovered a large lump on my neck while applying lotion. First thing on my mind was, no, bleep, 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 bleep. I'm cursing and stuff like that, so I'm going to just say bleep, because this is Twitch. I went into full-on anxiety and panic attack mode. While I drove to work that day, I kept poking and prodding the lump. I had a huge hunch it was thyroid cancer. The reason why I have a hunch is because, this was an issue before, and thyroid cancer runs in my family. So I kind of knew it was thyroid cancer, even though not seeing the doctor and getting testing and stuff like that. So as soon as I arrived at work, I went to the medical center. And, I had talked to them about the situation, and, they had recommended me that I go in to book and see my doctor. So I had to wait. So, I start work at 6, usually I work at 6 a.m., and my doctor's office does not open until 9 o'clock. So I had a few hours of waiting before I can book an appointment and go see my doctor. So during those few hours, I kept poking and prodding and freaking out over this lump. So by the time I got to my doctor's office, my neck was pretty sore. Like, pretty sore. I might have bruised it or even made it larger. I don't know. But, on top of that, while I was heading there, I got speeding ticket. With this whole cancer ordeal, I got a lot of speeding tickets, and I probably shouldn't have been on the road, but hindsight 20, right? When you're freaking like that, it's probably the last thing you worry about is speed and whatnot. Um, Anyways, so at this appointment, I was given an ultrasound requisition, which was booked on September 26th. That was a complete blur. Sitting in the waiting room, and, of course, this whole time waiting, I'm still poking and prodding my throat and touching it and everything. So went into ultrasound, and here we go. So on October 2nd, I went back to my doctor's office where I got results on the hairy cell leukemia. So that was confirmed, and I learned more about the hairy cell leukemia. And of course, my family doctor didn't have a lot of information on it, so he suggested that I talk to the specialist at the Cross Cancer Institute once that appointment was booked. And it's at that time I learned that hairy cell leukemia is curable, and that it is a rare and a slower growing cancer. So yeah, that was craziness. But anyways, on that October 2nd appointment, I was taken off work medically permanently, or indefinitely anyways. So after all that, on October 10th was when I was booked in for a biopsy, and the nurse at the hospital held my hand while I was getting that done. She was amazing and she was awesome, and I think she could see my nerves and anxiety, and if I could, I was probably going to be bouncing off the walls because of my anxiety. I was nervous and I was anxious, and she definitely knew. So I have to give a shout out to that nurse who held my hand and, tried to calm me down and, give me a warm blanket and just try to do her best to make me feel better. So she was awesome. So, a couple weeks went by, and I think with having cancer or any type of health issues, or wherever waiting is involved, it causes a lot of anxiety. And you get nervous, right? So what happens too is when you're sitting idle too long, you have too much time on your hands to think, and of course, because we're all human, Google is where we go. And you know what that does when you go to Google. You're setting up yourself for all kinds of chaos. But anyways, on October 28th, I was back at my family doctor's office. So this is my new family doctor. And the lump was confirmed. I had papillary thyroid cancer. So I now have hairy cell leukemia and papillary, it's a tongue twister for me, papillary thyroid cancer. At this appointment, my doctor it was nuts, and it's a crazy thing, but my doctor described me as a very calm and an individual that whatever he explained I was getting and understanding and absorbing. So with that, it's nice knowing something about myself, that when I'm in a situation like that, I know that I'm somehow able to remain calm and able to absorb and understand everything that he was trying to explain to me and tell me. And he said something to me, and he told me that he can tell that I was a very strong individual, and that I was going to get through this. And I'm thinking in my mind, are you kidding me? It's like, I'm very strong. Yeah, you haven't seen me the last couple weeks, but to me, I felt like I was a total basket case. And I didn't believe him at the time. So pretty much for September and October, everything I was ever told just went in one ear and out ear. In one ear and out the other ear. So even though he was telling me that I was a very strong individual and I had Mac telling me everything is going to be okay and things like that, it just, yeah, I didn't absorb it. It just in and out of me. Um, the nice thing during all this was the medical center at work put me in touch with a counselor. So luckily, right at the beginning stages, my work has an employee family assistance program, and I was put into the counseling program. So luckily for me, I had a counselor right from the get-go. Otherwise, I think it'd be a lot more chaos. Um, I think I was managing for 2 months because I had the help of the counselor. But I also had times where I was going bonkers. Um, waiting for answers, results drove me absolutely mad. And that was, I don't know. Like, obviously finding out you have cancer is devastating. But I think the waiting game is the part that kills me the most. It actually drove me insane. Um, and I do have to say, of what I also wanted to say was, it drove me insane, and waiting for the answers and the results drove me mad, right? This is where my depression kicked in. And crazy, insane, like nutty anxiety. But through all that, I do have to say that I am really blessed and lucky that both my cancers were caught early. So I'm very blessed and lucky in that situation. And I'm not sure how long this vlog is going, but I think I'm probably gonna be ending my vlog there. I want to. My next vlog will be on waiting for the specialist and to get back to me and the surgery and so forth. And in my next vlog, I'm going to talk about how I nearly lost my life from my surgery. And I think with each of my vlogs, I want to share some takeaways. And I think it's important for me and, maybe for whoever is going to be listening. So some takeaways from this vlog is for family, you don't have to share the same blood. And you really need to lean on the important people in your life, whether it be family, friends, significant other, professional, like anybody. And the other thing is listen to your body and get a second opinion. Because really, it's your own body and you're the only one that knows something is wrong or off, right? Secondly is seek professional help. In situations like this, it's best to get professional help. Not everybody's against it, but I am all for it now that I've gone through counseling and, seeing a psychologist and so forth, and they do help, even though a lot of people think that it doesn't help in any way at all. But anyways, so 2019 was a very, very rough year, and that was the start of my 2 cancers. So stay tuned for my 3rd vlog. And I am really trying to keep these pretty short. So anyways, thank you for listening. And once again, I appreciate you. And this monster I'm about to hunt is called the Nergigane. And I'm missing him. But anyways, thank you once again. And I will talk soon.